Hey everyone, welcome back to Code with Poonam. It's day 93 of our 100 days of coding challenge in JavaScript. Today's challenge is all about to convert an object into a query string format. So let's proceed with this challenge and we will move towards our VS Code. If we see in the VS Code here, we have our question along with the sample input and output, right? So let us read out the question. We have to write a JavaScript function that takes an object and converts into an query string format, right? And here we have what? Three sample test cases, right? So when we will write our function, we have to make sure that we get our exact output with respect to our each of our input. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we will first break down our question. So we will take this JavaScript function and we are going to put it over here. Why? Because we have to write our JavaScript function. After that, what is the next important part? That we have to convert that object into a query string format, right? So let us take this and we are going to put it over here as well. Now let us come at line number 12 and we are going to define our function name. So our function name will be what? Object to query string. So let us write it over here, object to query string with a parenthesis. So this will be our function name, okay? Now we will come above and we are going to understand how we are getting this output with respect to each of our input, okay? So we will take this first input object and I am going to put it over here, okay? Now what is the output for this object we are getting? It is nothing but this, right? So I will take this and I am going to put it over here. Now what is this format? This format is nothing but a query string. Why I am saying it is a query string? Because they said, right, you have to take an object and you have to convert it into what? Query string format. So that is why I'm saying it is a query string. But first of all, we will have to understand what is a query string, right? So query string is nothing but a part of a URL that contains key value pairs used to pass the data to the server, okay? It starts after the question mark symbol and separates key value pair with ampersand, where each pair is in the format of what? Key is equal to value. So that is what here also you will see. Key is equal to value you have, and each key and value pair is separated by what? Ampersand. Okay. So that is what I have said, that query string is nothing but it is a part of a URL that contains a key and value pair. It starts with what? Question mark symbol. If it is in the URL, it will start with question mark symbol and separates key and value pair with ampersand, where each pair is in the format of what? Key is equal to value. That is why it is in this particular format. Okay. So that is why we are getting here output as what? Name is equal to Alice and age is equal to 25, right? For this particular input object. Now let us take for the second input object. Okay, so I will take this input object and I am going to put it over here. So for that, what is the output we are getting? That means what is the query string we have? We have this particular query string. I will just put it over here. Now let us see in the output what we have. We have here is active is equal to true, right? That means we are getting key is equal to value, correct? After that, we have here what? Our ampersand, right? And then we have here what? Score is equal to 95. This is also fine. After that, we have ampersand and then we have here what? Email is equal to John229 %40 example.com, right? That means here the special character is not written as it is. Our special character has been encoded, okay? So whenever we will have spaces or special character in our query string, it will be encoded, okay? So for that, we are going to use our inbuilt method provided by our JavaScript itself, okay? That is nothing but encodeURIComponent function, or we can say encodeURIComponent method. So we will be seeing that out when we start writing our approach, okay? Now let us proceed to the third input object, okay? So I will take this third input object and we are going to put it over here. And what is the output we are getting? We are getting this particular output, right? So this is nothing but our query string, correct? So I'm going to write it over here. So if you see what we have, first name is equal to John, that is fine. After that, what we have? Ampersand. That is also okay. After that, we have last name is equal to Doe. That is also fine, right? But in the last one, what we have? City is equal to new %20 York, right? That means here the space also has been encoded. Okay, so whenever you have spaces or special characters, it is going to encode. And for that, in our function, when we write, so we are going to use a inbuilt method that is nothing but encode URI component. Okay, so that we are going to use it and we will get our desired output. So we have understood how we are reaching to this specific output, right? That means how we are able to convert our object into a query string format, correct? So now on the basis of that, now we will come down and we are going to write our approach. So I will just write here what approach. Now in this question, first of all, what we are going to do, we are going to extract our all the keys from the object. Okay, so that is what I am writing it over here. Now for that, we are going to use our Object.keys method. So that also I'll write it over here. Now this method gives us what? This method returns us all the keys. Okay, so I'll write it over here. It returns all the keys in an array form of a particular object. Okay, now in our previous challenges, we have seen our Object.values method. What it returns nothing but our all the values, right, in an array form of a particular object, right? So that was Object.values, and here it is Object.keys. So in this question, we have to work with our keys. That is why we are taking here what? Object.keys. Okay. Now what is the next thing we will do? We will take this particular input object and I will write it over here what? Our obj is equal to this particular object. Now let us see how we are going to pass our obj to the Object.keys method. So I will write here what? Object.keys. Okay. And to that we will pass our obj. So what we are going to get in an output, we will get an array, and in that we will get here what? Name, and we are going to get here what? Age. So this will be our output if we are using our Object.keys method and if we pass our obj as this particular object. Okay, so now what we will do, we will come here and we are going to store this output into a variable called as what? Obj keys. Okay, so wherever now we will need this particular array, we will be using our obj keys variable. Okay, so now what we have to do next, we have to get here what? Key is equal to value, right? If you observe the output, what we have? Key and is equal to value, right? So that is what we have to get. So for that, what we are going to use it, we will be using our map method. Okay, why map method we are going to use it? Because it is going to iterate over the keys and it will build our key is equal to value pair. Okay, so for that reason, we are going to use our map method. Now what does this map method does? This map method transforms each element in an array, right, using a callback function, and it returns a new array. So if I have to write the syntax of it, how I am going to write it? I will write here what? Our arr.map, and to that we are going to pass our callback function, right? Now what will be our callback function? Let us see. Okay, and what will be our arr also? Let us see to it. So now what will be our arr? It will be nothing but our obj keys, right? So I will take this obj keys and I am going to write here what? Map, and we will pass our callback function. Okay, now what we are going to pass here? We will pass what? Element. Okay, so here what we need, guys? Here we need key is equal to value, correct? So I will write here what? Key is equal to value. So how we can get this key is equal to value? What is key over here? Key will be nothing but our element. Why I am saying it will be element? Because if you see your obj keys array, it is nothing but holding all the keys, right? So that is where our element will be our key. So if I have to write here what I am going to write? Element I will write, and after that I am going to write our is equal to. Now what will be our value? It will be nothing but our obj of this particular element. Okay, so I will write here what? Our obj of element. So as soon as we write it, we are going to get this particular format. Now if I have to write it, I am not going to write it directly as it is. I will be taking help of our template literals, and when we have to write a template literals, we will be using our backticks, right? So I will write here what? Our backticks. Then we are going to write here what? Dollar. Flower braces we are going to write, then key we will write is equal to I am going to write, and then again dollar flower braces, and inside that I am going to write here what? Our obj of element. Okay, And then what it is going to give me? It will give me directly what? Key is equal to value. So let us see what the output it is going to return. It will return nothing but in an array, right? Because our map method returns an array, and it is going to return me what? Name is equal to Alice, and then we will have your comma, and we will have your what? Our age is equal to 25. So now this particular is fine when we have this particular input object where you don't have a spaces or where you don't have a special characters, right? But if you come above, we have here objects where it is having a special characters. We are having here a spaces also, right? And in the output, it is not just key is equal to value and it is separated by a ampersand. We also have encoded our special characters and spaces, right? So for that, how we can do it? So only by doing this, it is not going to help us, okay? So we will have to modify our map method. So what we will do, we will come here, and for that, we are going to use our inbuilt method, right? I told you when I was explaining you the input and output, right? So what is the inbuilt method we are going to use? We are going to use a inbuilt method called as what? Encode URI component, okay? So I will write it over here and I will show you how does it work also. So first of all, let me tell you what it is actually. So what is encode URI component? It is nothing but an inbuilt JavaScript function that encodes a URI such as a protocol, host name, path, query string, or a fragment. So what is a URI? Uniform Resource Identifier. So as soon as it encounters any special character or any spaces, it will make sure that it is going to encode it, okay? So now I will show you in the terminal how it is going to encode it. So I will write here what node and I will hit enter, and I am going to use that method. So I will write here what? Encode URI component, and to that I am going to pass our @. So I will write here what? @ and I am going to close this, okay? And if you see, we are getting what? %40. That is exact the same, right? Now let us once again run this particular method, and to that we are going to pass what? Space, okay? And if I hit enter, we are getting %20, right? So now we will come down and we will take our map method. So I will take this and I'm going to put it over here, okay? And what is the next thing we will do? This element is there, right? We will pass it to our function encode URI component. And this obj of element is there, right? This also we are going to pass it to this function. So I will take this, and what I am going to do, I will put it over here like this, and I will just pass this element to this, okay? And here as well, I am going to do the same. So I'll write here what? Our encode URI component, okay? And to this, we are going to pass our obj of our element. So this will be our final map method, and the output, whatever we are going to get it from this. So we will be storing inside a variable called as what? Query, okay? So now after that, what we have to find? We have to get our query string, right? This is not the final output. This is only going to give me what? In an array, key is equal to value, right? And if it would be some spaces or special characters, it will encode it and it is going to give me. So it is not going to give me the final output. So we have to get our query string, right? So for that, what we are going to use? We are going to use our join method, okay? And to this, what we are going to pass? We will pass here what? Our ampersand symbol, okay? Why? Because we have to join, right? So what this join method is going to do? This join method is an array method, right, in JavaScript that combines all the elements of an array into a single string with a specified separator between them, right? And the resultant is what? It is nothing but a string. So that is where we are going to use our join method. And to that, we are going to pass a separator as what? Our ampersand to this, right? So then if we are going to do it, so how we will be doing it? So we will write here what? Our query we will write, and we are going to use our join. And to that, we are going to pass our ampersand like this. So what is the output we are going to get? We will get here what? Name is equal to Alice I will get, okay? After that, and I am going to get, and then I will get here what? Age is equal to 25. So this will be our final output, and this is what we wanted, right? So using our object.keys, our map method, our template literal syntax, our encodeURIComponent method, and our join method, we are going to reach to our final resulted output, right? So now what we will do, we will come to this terminal and we will exit from here, okay? So I will write here what? Process.exit, okay? And now we will get our normal terminal where we can write our function and we can run our function also, okay? So I'll just type here what? CLS, okay? Now we will come here and we have understood our approach, right? So now we are going to implement the same thing inside our function. So we will write here what? Our function. So function I am going to write, and what will be our function name? Object to query string, right? And let us quickly invoke it. So here I will come and I'm going to write what? Object to query string. And to this we are going to pass our input object. So let us take the first input object and we are going to pass it, okay? So we will take this and we will come down and we are going to pass it over here, okay? Now what is the next thing we are going to do? We will come here and we are going to receive here as our obj, right? And I will just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log of obj. And we will come here and we are going to write here what? Node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we are getting our exact input object, right? So that means whatever the input object we are passing, it is able to receive and it is able to print it, okay? After that, what is the next thing we have to do? We have to extract all the keys, right? So I will write here what? Let obj keys, right? And we will write here what? Is equal to our object.keys method, correct? And to that we are going to pass our obj. Now let us just console it out. So I will write here what? Console.log of obj keys, correct? Now let us test it in the terminal. So I will write here what? CLS, and then I will write here node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we are getting our array, right? And in that array, we have what? All the keys, right? Let us come above and let us see what we have here. So if you see here, we have what? Name and age, right? So that is nothing but the same, correct? Now what we will do, we will come down and we have to write our map method to get what? Key is equal to value, right? So let us come down and we are going to write our map method and we have to include our encodeURIComponent function also, right? So we will come down and what we will write here first, we are going to declare a variable, right? And we are going to write here what? Let query is equal to, correct? And we will write here what? Our obj keys dot map, correct? And to that we will pass our callback function. And we will write here what? Our element, correct? And here we will use our template literal syntax, correct? Then I am going to write here what? Dollar and our flower braces, correct? And inside that our encodeURIComponent, correct? And to that we are going to pass our element. Then after that what we will write? Is equal to we are going to write. Then again we will write here what? Dollar, flower braces, encodeURIComponent. And to that we are going to pass what? Our obj we will pass of our element, right? That is what I am going to write it over here. And we will just console our query now. So I will write here what? Node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we are getting what? In an array, we are getting key is equal to value and key is equal to value, correct? So that is what we have got, correct? Now we have to get our final query string, right? So after that, what we are going to use? We will be using our join method, correct? With a separator of what? Ampersand, right? So let us come here and we are going to declare a variable called as what? Let query string is equal to, and we will use our what? Our query, right? So query dot join. And in this method, we are going to pass what? Our ampersand, right? And now let us just console our query string. So I will write here what? Console.log of query string, correct? Now let us come to the terminal and we are going to rerun it one more time. So I'll write here what? Node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we got our query string, right? Name is equal to Alice, ampersand, age is equal to 25, right? So that is what we are getting here, okay? Now let us come down and we are going to invoke it for the another input objects where we have to check encoding has been done or not, right? So let us come above and take our second input object from here. So I will take the second input object and we are going to come down and we will invoke it one more time. So we will write here what object to query string, right? And to that we are going to pass our second input object. Okay. Now let us clear the terminal and rerun it one more time. So I will write here what node 93 challenge and hit enter. And if you see, we are getting the output, right? You can see here our at the rate has changed to what %40, and we get our final query string also. That means encoding is working, right? So this function is working for us, correct? Now we will invoke it one more time for the last input object. So I will write here what object to query string, and we are going to go above and we will take our third input object, okay? And we will come down and we are going to pass it to this function, okay? So let us put it over here and we will come to our terminal and we will clear it up and we are going to write here what node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see what we are getting here %20, right? That means this space has been changed to what %20. That means it has been successfully encoded, right? So this encodeURIComponent function is working for both our input cases where we had our special character and here we had our spaces, right? Now we will come here to our function and we are going to comment our console.log statements. So we will comment our line number 46, then our line number 49, then our line number 53 also. We will save it and we are going to clear it up now. And we will write here what node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we are getting all the three query string, okay? Now let us go above and we will just match up with our output, okay? So what we have here, name is equal to Alice, ampersand, age is equal to 25. If you see, we have exactly the same, right? For the second input object, what is the output? Is active is equal to true. Ampersand score is equal to 95. Ampersand email is equal to John229% 40 example.com. If you see here, we have exactly the same, right? Now, what is the last input output we have here? We have first name is equal to John, ampersand last name is equal to Doe, and city is equal to new %20 York, right? If you see here, we have exactly the same, right? That means we have successfully achieved our desired output, okay? So now we will come here and we will have a quick recap of this particular question. So what we have to write? We have to write a JavaScript function that takes an object and converts it into a query string format, right? And here they gave us the three test cases, right? Then we came down and we wrote here what our important part of our function, right? And we also defined our function name as what object to query string, correct? Then we came down and we understood how we are reaching to the desired output, right? And then on the basis of that, we wrote our approach, correct? So first we extracted all the keys, right, from the object by using our Object.keys method, right? So Object.keys method is going to return me what? It is going to return me all the keys, right, in an array form of that particular object, and we got here the correct output, right? And whatever this output it is going to give, we are going to store it inside a variable called as what? Object.keys, right? Now what is the next thing we have here? That we wanted to get what? Key is equal to value, right? So for that, what we did, we used our map method. Why we used our map method? Because we had to iterate over the keys to create a key value pair in a format key is equal to value, right? So for that, we used our map method. So map method does what? It is going to transform our each element in an array, right? Using our callback function, and it returns a new array. So that is what we have written here, right? And we got this particular output. But this case is going to work only where there is no special characters, there is no spaces, right? What if we have our special characters and our spaces? So then we will have to encode it, right? So for that, we came down and we used our inbuilt method, right? encodeURIComponent. So that is nothing but what? It is an inbuilt JavaScript method that is going to encode it, right? So it will make sure that our special characters or our spaces are encoded, right? So that is what we have done here, and we stored it inside a variable called as a query, right? And after that, we wanted to get our final query string, right? So for that, we used our join method. What does join method do? It is going to combine all the elements of an array, right, into a single string with a specified separator between them. And here, what was the separator? It was nothing but our ampersand, right? And that is what we have done. And here we got our exact output also, right? And then what we did, we finally printed our query string, right? So I will just write here that as well. So we have finally printed our query string, and that is what was our desired output. Now, after understanding our approach, we wrote the function also, right? So same implementation we have done inside the function. Then at line number 47, we wrote our function, and our function name was what? Object to query string, right? And here we were receiving our input object as a obj, as a params, correct? Then at line number 48, we just consoled our obj, correct? And after that, what we did, we extracted our keys, right, from the particular object by using our Object.keys method, correct? And then we consoled it out to just test it, correct? Then we came here and we wanted to get what key is equal to value, correct? So for that, we used our map method. We used our inbuilt function also. That is nothing but our encodeURIComponent, correct? And we wrote our map method. And we got our query, right? That is nothing but key is equal to value. And we just consoled it here, right? And then finally, we got our query string and we just consoled our query string, right? Then we came at line number 61, 62, and 63, correct? We invoked here 3 times with 3 different input objects, right? Where we had a normal case, where we had our special characters also, and where we had a spaces also, right? And we got our final output also, right? So let us come to the terminal and we are going to clear it up, and I am going to write here what node 93 challenge and hit enter. If you see, we get our desired output, right? That is what it was needed, and we have done the same thing, okay? Now I will tell you guys why this challenge is useful, because it teaches us how to process the objects and convert them into a query string format. It is also useful for building query strings for URL parameters and API requests. It also enhances the understanding of JavaScript methods and working with the data. So that's all guys for today. So keep coding and keep improving your JavaScript skills. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and hit the notification bell for more daily challenges. And I will see you tomorrow with another exciting challenge. So thank you so much guys. Take care. Bye-bye.